Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23, standard Samsung Galaxy S23, and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S9 and see which specific phone is the better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you, if you have the money, going up to the S23 is a great option, but you can still always buy an S22 or S21 and still save a little bit more money. So if you want to pick up those phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, you can definitely tell there are some key differences for sure. The Galaxy S9 was the 2018 flagship from Samsung, and I had a lot of memories with this specific phone. It was a great phone when it first came out, and I think it was a pretty decent improvement coming from the Galaxy S8. But this phone was shortly overshadowed by the Galaxy S10, which was an amazing phone for sure. Now, with this phone on the front, you're getting a 5.8-inch Super AMOLED display, and I definitely tell you that's a really good panel. It's not bad, it clearly had a little bit of bezel on the top and the bottom, but I remember when these phones came out in the Galaxy S8, and I was thinking to myself, how could Samsung do any better? Like, this is the perfect panel. Well, they've actually done better so far. Curved glass on the sides, and a very good panel for sure. Now, on the Galaxy S23, this is the newly released one. This is the new latest Samsung phone, 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's a hole punch display, so much less bezel, but it's kind of in the same footprint. But we are going from a curved glass to a flat glass. I actually do like the curved panel a little bit more, but some people like the flat, so it's kind of your preference. But it's also a 120 Hz screen as well. So that's another really cool thing that we have on this specific phone, that we have that type of capability. So when it comes down to it, this specific device gets a thumbs up for me for sure, but the Galaxy S9 is also really nice. Now, in terms of the size of these two phones, what's funny, like I mentioned, is that we do have that curved edge on the Galaxy S9, which gives the impression that it's actually kind of a slimmer phone, and it is actually probably slimmer overall than the Galaxy S23. But the S23 does have this kind of like flat, more modern styling to it, which this is probably the more modern way, but the S9 I think has a bigger footprint overall. Actually, they're about the same. On the back, a little bit of a different camera setup as well. So with the S23, we kind of had this flat back on the S9 with the camera module only protruding out a little bit, which looks a little bit cool, but the S23 I think is a little bit more modern, like I mentioned, with that triple camera setup on the top left. The issue with both of these, though, is that for one, on the S9, if you crack the back of your phone, the likelihood of cracking the glass on your lens is very, very high, and that's kind of the same thing with the S23. Although the camera lenses do stick out a little bit more, most of the time, if you're going to drop your phone, it's usually top heavy, and it's going to hit the top of these cameras, usually, by impact. And the problem with that versus the S22, which actually covered these lenses, was the better way in my opinion. So that's kind of a little thing, but it's not a big deal. They both have glass backs, which is really nice, but the frosted glass back on the S23 is way more modern. I keep saying modern in this video. On top of that, USB-C ports at the bottom. The S9, though, does have a headphone jack, and it does have a micro SD card slot, which is really, really cool. So that kind of covers it up on the outside between both these devices. Now, with the Galaxy S9, what's really cool about this specific phone, like I said, is that it did get support for quite a bit of time, but it did end off with One UI 2. Now, One UI 2 I think was a pretty good upgrade. It did bring the full gesture-based design like we have here. The only thing, though, is that, in my opinion, and this phone is kind of severely outdated now. I mean, it's 3 years old as of this moment, so there's not really a big reason to buy a phone like this, considering the fact that you can buy a Galaxy S10 that's still even kind of unsupported, but that phone got One UI 4. So, if you want to save more money but also get a device between these two, the Galaxy S10 is probably the best way to go. This phone is completely outdated, so there isn't a really big reason to buy this particular phone anymore, if I'm being honest. With the Galaxy S23, this phone is just getting started. Like, it's just getting started with software updates, so it's going to be supported for a long, long period of time. So from that perspective, that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The Samsung Galaxy S23 has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside of it with 8 GB of RAM, where the Galaxy S9 has that Snapdragon 845 chipset inside with 4 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, as you all can tell, so let's get into it. Phone calls. What's going on? Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Very fast on both. Play Store. Let's do camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I think the S23 was faster. This one had night mode, so we'll just kind of skip that one. This one did take the photo eventually. Let's open up the photo, 3, 2, 1. Okay. S23 is definitely the faster one there. Hopping out of this one, we can try the Play Store. 3, 2, 1. And we do not have Wi-Fi here, so we'll just kind of let that one out. We do have some of these third-party apps, though. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. I think I think I hit the S23 faster than the S9, but still the S9 would have been so much slower in my opinion. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. Very close between both. Instagram will skip that Quizlet 3, 2, 1. Okay, the Galaxy S23 I think is the faster one. Now I do have to open up the game launcher to even load up these specific applications, which is kind of annoying. So we'll do Snake versus Blocks 3, 2, 1. Totally mess that one up. But I'm curious to see if this one still opens up faster. It does actually open up faster, even though I opened it up much later. That's very crazy. That just goes to show you how much faster the S23 is, or with something like the Galaxy S9, which is expected. It's a brand new phone. Let's go to Thank You, which I do not have. You can do Temple Run 1, 3, 2, 1. I don't think I've opened it up on either one of these phones, though. Okay, so of course we get into this pop-up. I actually do think both of them were going to be very fast regardless. So we'll just go and click play. And I don't think either one of these are going to glitch up. It's a pretty basic game. It's an old game too, so it's pretty optimized between both. Let's go and open another one. Let's go ahead and do something like Netflix. We can hop out of this one. Netflix 3, 2, 1. Okay. I definitely do think, there's kind of a little issue there with the Wi-Fi thing. And we'll go ahead and do one more. I'll just see kind of what we have available. We can try Temple Run 2, which I do have right here. So let's do that. 3, 2, 1. And of course we get this little pop-up. But I still think even then the S23 was going to be substantially ahead of something like the Samsung Galaxy S9. So in terms of the speed and the performance, I think the S9 actually was faster than I thought. But the Galaxy S23 is clearly the faster one when it comes down to it. So that kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, it's not really a competition here either. We had a single camera setup on the back of the S9. It was a wide angle lens. The S23 though has a wide, ultra wide, and telephoto lens. You can do, it's just not even fair to be honest. Like with the S9, it was a good camera when it first came out. You remember this phone came out in 2018. Some phones at that moment already had a dual camera setup. The S9 in particular had the S9 Plus had a dual camera setup, but this one still has some features. You have 8x zoom, which is great. You have standard 1x zoom, which is perfectly fine. I don't know what this circle there is for, but you have photo mode, you have video mode. But under more, like I said before, you have a lot of options built in underneath here, which is really cool. So you can always go ahead and just come straight into here and have this pro mode, you have night mode, you have hyperlapse, you have a lot of cool stuff. So you did have a lot of features built in within this camera, which was actually really cool. So although the hardware itself wasn't super crazy, like 1080p on the front, 4K on the back, which is nice, it definitely, when you see the cameras they have nowadays, it's really not even fair. A phone like the Galaxy S23, it is running circles around a phone like the Galaxy S9, which is what you want to see. You don't want to see the older phone being better than the newer ones, trust me. So with this type of phone, you're getting 30x zoom. That in and of itself is crazy. You're getting 0.6x zoom with its ultra-wide camera. So that in and of itself is a really big deal. You're getting portrait video, and under more, funny enough, it looks like you have less modes in this one, but there's been modes that have been combined into one. So you're actually getting a lot more features here, and you're getting 8K video that you can film in, and you're getting 4K at 60 on the front. So the S23 clearly is the better one when it comes down to it. And to kind of sum up this video, the S23 is the better one when it comes down to it in general. The S23 is a very, very good phone. It has a ton of capability. And if you're comparing the S9 to the S23, there's really no competition here. The S23 is going to be the better phone pretty much 99 times out of 100. With the S9, the only area where it's kind of better at is part of the price tag. It's a much cheaper phone now than the S23. You can probably buy this thing for $90, $100, probably even less than that. And I like how it has the headphone jack and the micro SD card slot, but this phone is pretty much unsupported. So there's not really a big point in picking up a phone like this anymore. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.